This is a very valid point, that impurity should be more, such solvent we shall use in which impurity should be more soluble than our solute, mean the compound we are interested to crystallize. Because if it is crystallizing out, the impurity, if less soluble, it shall crystallize out first. So we are going to separate this, and then the other crystals are settling. And if their colors are same, then we shall not be able, when impurity is settling and when our compound final product is settling down. So this is very technical. That first of all, the colored entity or the impurity present in them should be more soluble in a solvent in which we are making dissolution. So if it is less soluble, so it shall not be a good crystallization. It shall mix up with our crystals. It shall be soluble more than the solute. This is one of the very important condition that you should keeping in mind. Second, filtering the hard solution from particles of insoluble material and dust, because when we are super saturating this, maybe some of the compound is not further dissolving. If it is not dissolving, we shall filter this hot, right? Dust particle or any fault, when you are stirring this with a glass rod, maybe some glass rod breaks up and settles over there. So we filter this off so that any impurity insoluble or any dust particle or glass particle should be present on the filter paper. So we filter this out, and gradually when we are filtering this, the temperature of the solution decreases gradually. So it favors us. Number three, allowing the hard solution to cool, thus causing the dissolved substance to crystallize out. Now temperature is decreasing and solvent is evaporating. Once solvent is evaporating, the solution solubility is decreasing. Second, the temperature decrease also cause decrease in solubility. So when these parameters, sometime when we are decreasing the temperature, it reaches the ambient room temperature, but no crystallization occur. Gradually when we leave in the night and come to the next day in the morning, we see there is a very good crystals. Why this happen? Because when temperature is decreased, solubility is not reached to minimum point of crystallization. What happen in the night? Normally temperature decreases, so some of the solvent evaporates and temperature decrease cause a decrease in more solubility. So as a result, in the night or in the evening, these crystals settles down. And when we come next day, so we observe very nice crystal setting in the flask. So this is what we meant for. Next is the separating the crystal from the supernatant solution. Keeping in mind, because supernatant solution is what? This is also called mother liquor, right? So this is what? Because the solution contains solute and impurity. Now, when crystals are being settled, mean pure compound has been settled, impurity is present in solvent. So what we do? That solution contain impact impurity. Impurity still dissolve in solution, and our compound final product has been crystallized out. Then we decant this out. We filter the crystals. When we filter the crystals, so this solution which passes through the filter paper is commonly called mother liquor. Because it contains impurity, it is not of our interest. Which is our interest? The solids which has disappeared, which has appeared in crystalline state in the bottom or the flask walls of the flask. So that is also called supernatant solution or mother liquor. Both terminologies are used in crystallization, in fact. So this is very important that you should bring into consideration. These are the 4 steps involved in crystallization. And something about the choice of the solvent is also written here. You should also read this out. I'm just very quickly going through this to read this out. which solvent should we use for crystallization. The most desirable characteristic of a solvent for crystallization are as follow. The high solvent power for the substance to be purified at elevated temperatures and a comparative low solvent power at the laboratory temperature or below. What does it mean? At high solvent power, mean dissolving power, for the substance to be purified at elevated temperature and comparatively low solvent power at low laboratory temperature. This is what I have already presented, that a compound which we are going to crystallize out shouldn't be highly soluble in a solvent nor low soluble in that. It should be good soluble in high temperature, and at low temperature it should be less soluble, but not very good soluble at high and very poor soluble at low temperature. Otherwise crystallization doesn't occur. Number two, it should dissolve the impurities readily or only a very small extent. Two possibilities. It should dissolve the impurity more. In other words, the solubility of impurity should be more than the substance that we are going to crystallize. Second is, it shouldn't be soluble or very sparingly soluble. That would be also a good solvent. That all solute which we are going to crystallize dissolves, but impurity dissolves to small extent. This is also a good solvent. These are the two possibilities. But such in which a solute is less soluble and impurity is more soluble is not a good solvent of choice, right? Number three, it should yield well-formed crystals of the purified compound. It should yield well-formed crystals of the purified compound. It should give good crystals. It shouldn't give amorphous components. It must be capable of easy removal from crystals of the purified compound, possesses a relatively low boiling point. All right. So it means that when we are separating the crystals by a filtration process, so it should not have a very high or very low boiling point. If it have a very low boiling point, so it shall evaporate quickly and crystals shall not settle down nicely. Or if it is having a very high boiling point, then it shall take longer to evaporate in fact. So these are the few points which were very important toward crystallization that I have explained here. So I hope that you shall come into count. What is given in table 2.8? Look at here. We have given a comparison of boiling points. Keeping in mind cyclohexane is a non-polar solvent. As you are moving from down to upward, what is happening? The boiling point, their polarity is increasing. Or if I say, if you are moving from water to cyclohexane, the polarity is decreasing. This is something which is very important to see. Down the group, polarity is decreasing. If let's say compound of our final product, we say this is not polar, then we shall use these type of bottom solvents: hexane, carbon tetrachloride, dioxane, benzene, diethyl ether, or chloroform, or dichloromethane, etc. If it is polar, then we can use water, methanol, ethanol, acetone, etc. These type. If it is moderate, acetone, ethyl acetate, dichloromethane, these three can be just like used for that purpose. So anyhow, normally we have a combination. We dissolve a compound in low polar solvent and then we add polar to this. Or if we are dissolving a compound in a polar solvent, and once it is done, then we add a non-polar solvent to this to cause the insolubility or to decrease the solubility of the solutes. So this is a table which is giving you, it is arranged in polarity based. From water to downward, polarity is decreasing. Cyclohexane almost have zero polarity and their boiling points are given in fact. Boiling point of water is 100, methanol 64 degrees, almost 65, ethanol 78, Industrial spirit, rectified spirit, these are also ethanols in fact, but having some contamination of water present in it. Acetone 56, ethyl acetate 78, similarly acetic acid 118, dichloromethane very low, which is 41, chloroform 61, diethyl ether 35, benzene, dioxane, etc. You can see these. Some of these are flammable whenever you are working with them. Chloroform, carbon tetrachloride, chloroform, uh, dichloromethane, chloro derivative. They are not flammable, right? And similarly, uh, all other like methanol, ethanol, acetone, ethyl acetate, cyclohexane, they are all such compound petroleum products which are been flammable, which catches fire. So you are not supposed to place them directly onto the flame. Keeping in mind, this is very important. If you are using water, if you are using something else, acetic acid, etc., fine. Inorganic solvents, no problem at all. But when you are dealing with organic solvent, keeping in mind, it is very not recommended that you put that on naked flame. You cannot put them on naked flame in a flask directly heated on a flame. No, not at all. You can use a sand bath. Place a sand inside a container, maybe a metallic container, whatsoever. Put it, place the flask on the sand, or use oil bath, or use some other heating mantle, etc. Not directly heated on a flame. If it is heated on a flame, it may burst up, it may catch fire. This is called flammable solvents. So whenever you are keeping in mind, whenever you are doing crystallization, the solvent should be a heated, let's say in a beaker you are having a water, or you are having an oil, it is being heated on a flame, and then you are just dipping your flask in the water or oil. Shouldn't be exposed directly, otherwise it may catch fire. These are the few terminologies which are very important to remember in this case. So anyhow, this is the cautions are also given here. Vapors of these solvents are toxic, and therefore recrystallization involving there must be done in a fume hood. Which of them are? Methanol is very toxic. It affects the eyesight. So maybe if anybody is exposing this and inhaling this, it may cause the blindness. But so it is very toxic for eye. Dichloromethane, chloroform, carbon tetrachloride, chloroderivative, all of these are toxic for lungs. So they affect the lungs because they are not soluble in organic solvent. So they are taken into liver, liver transform them. So liver make extra effort to denature them in fact. So these compound, especially benzene as well, so these are not, they are very toxic. So whenever you are using these solvents, so especially benzene is no longer being used because this is aromatic, so it is a carcinogenic material, it triggers cancer in fact. So it is not longer being used these days as a solvent. So these are a few things that I wanted to explain in this case. Um, yeah, this is just a rough generalization is given as a student for the selection of a solvent. A substance is likely to be most soluble in a solvent to which it is most closely related in chemical and physical character. What this means? It means if it is non-polar, then a non-polar would be a good choice of solvent. Let's say if your compound is non-polar, so you can use benzene, you can use hexane, you can use petroleum ether, etc. But you cannot use water for that because they are immiscible to each other. Non-polar cannot dissolve to water. If your compound is polar, then you can use water, methanol, ethanol, etc. If our compound have a normal polarity, not non-polar, not polar, in between, then we can use acetone, ethyl acetate, chloroform, etc. So these are our choices. This is what this sentence means. In ascending a homogeneous series, the solubilities of member tend to become more and more like that the hydrocarbon from which they can be regarded as being derived. This is what I have presented in ascending or descending order. The same order is we normally been observed. A polar substance is a polar substance is more soluble in polar solvent and less soluble is in non-polar solvent. This is what I have already presented. The solvent in table 2.8 have been listed broadly in the order of decreasing polar character, right? So this is what I have already explained the table just there. So I hope when you are going through this, you shall have a good comparison of uh, this type of system. So I hope some of your students also have a lecture of probably forensic or industrial. So I hope you are having a class 11 past 5. So you are having forensic, yes, forensic or industrial class. So we shall not take longer. So in next, I shall focus on chromatography and then we shall switch over to some other techniques which are also very useful for characterization, for purification. We are focusing at the moment purification techniques. So I have given you an assignment for your very fundamental introduction chapter you have end with, and normally your microwave spectroscopy has also been ended, so I have limited. You have 1 week time till next Friday. You can submit this next Friday in soft form. Email address is written in the assignment, so you can complete that, and keeping in mind you shall learn more once you are doing yourself. These assignments shall contribute towards your sessional marks. So just go through these assignments, resolve the questions on a piece of paper, scan this with your uh, camera, and upload to the MS Word, and then generate the PDF file of MS file. So MS Word can be converted into PDF. That PDF you are sending me. On the title page, you should have your name, roll number, and everything on that. And next 3 or 4 pages, you shall get them solved. So rest of the other you can read out on your slides. Uh, so session is open if there are any questions.